Oilers Nation After Dark begins now.
Well, thank God that's over. I don't even know what that hockey game really was, but we do know the Edmonton Oilers will start game one of the NHL playoffs on the road at Crypto.com Arena as they lose 5-0 to the LA Kings this evening. Not the result we were hoping for. Not going to sit here and tell you I'm overly surprised that that's the way that game went down, giving up a lead, getting chippy as shit. Hey, the Oilers were down to their B squad, if you heard how Philip Deneau referred to the Oilers during, I think, the second intermission. But we did get to see something special tonight, Daniel. The reverse mercy goalie pull. Darcy Kemper yanked from the game with a shutout intact, up 5-0. That's bold from the LA Kings bench. And yeah, the Edmonton Oilers, they got spanked tonight, 5-0. But hello and welcome to Oilers Nation After Dark, presented by Bet365. Download the app today because whatever the moment, it's never ordinary, never ever ordinary. Nation Dan Gallant, my friend, how are we doing after that one? I kind of feel bad that I asked you to stay up on a Monday night to watch that hockey game and have to do this very show with me and break it down. Now, that is one of the more entertaining 5-0 blowouts I've ever seen. I will at least hang my hat on that. But Daniel, vibe check, how you feeling? How awake are you right now, Tim?
Well, I will remind the chat, we don't get paid anything extra for showing up for these ones, unlike Mr. McCauley, who seemed to be getting paid by the penalty tonight. There's my first zinger on the referees. Yeah, it's going to be spicy tonight. I think we're going to have a good debate. I hope that nobody is feeling too dejected about our playoff chances. I definitely found myself feeling a little bit of a hum of negativity just because of the lack of pizzazz that this team showed throughout this game. But you just throw this one in the toilet bowl and move on to Wednesday night.
I said it on pre-gaming. I wasn't really going to take much out of this hockey game. That is not the Edmonton Oilers game one playoff roster. I don't even really know what that was. And as Psycho says, big picture view, who cares? I totally agree with that. I've also been in my bag lately this year in loser talk. But let's get caught up into the chat. Let's see what's going on. This was during the game. Mackay and Dry said, at Oilers Nation, end our pain. Let's start the show. Silver Merlin said, yep, just start the post-game show now. Believe me, Brett and I were just sitting here watching the stream, but we were like, should we start it? I could also see some absolute crazy shit going down at the end of the game, so maybe we didn't want to be a little premature, but I apologize for making you all have to watch 60 minutes of that game. Ryan said, done. Stick a fork in it. Cody, that game was hard to watch. Matthias Janmark says, Coach, we quit. Then we got Abby in here, and obviously this will be a big point of discussion tonight. Nurse is getting at least 3 games. He won't be in the lineup games 1 and 2. What a dirty play. I cannot lie. Oilers defense is so screwed, bruh. I don't know about that, but we will unpack that as we go along. Silver Merlin, there's no way Nurse should get suspended. Austin's in. So it's always a thing here when the Oilers get blown out. He says, I will donate $100 next stream if we skip the scoring summary and shotgun. I do it right now, but I had to get my son his meds. I have witnesses. I really do not want a shotgun right now, but some people have mentioned, Bordzy, what is your number to skip the scoring summary? I asked Brett, really couldn't figure about anything of what we should do. I think we're just going to go with $69. Once I see that in the YouTube chat, we will skip the Greta scoring summary because there's nothing really positive in there that we can take out of this game. But, yeah, Jessica, I believe we just skipped the scoring summary. It's not required. What we do require is super chats, and they're in support of the Ben Stelter Foundation. Awesome cause, awesome thing here in Edmonton, helping out families dealing with family members who have cancer for awesome magical experiences and good. See, there's my boy Dan right on cue. He's got the bracelet there. Tammy's in, $10, says, well, that was a waste of 3 hours. Stick taps, hearts for Ben, who is ashamed up in heaven. Cup, yeah, come on, health. Yeah, the Edmonton Oilers, it's Connor Brown went down that tunnel tonight at one point, and I just started laughing, Dan, because I was like, the fuck does a guy got to do around here to finish a game fully healthy? Now, he did come back, so we got to feel good about that. Cadbury Mini Egg, $5. If there's anything we can take away from this game, it's that we can't take anything away. I love that. Connor Brown will save us. Hashtag we move. Cup, yeah.
Cup, yeah.
Bosch is in. Angry Kenny Banyuface, no scoring summary. B squad, blah, blah. McCauley just wants to hear his voice on the PA. Amen. I got Brett's beef locked and loaded for this one tonight. That's where, Dan, you just wind him up. You just let him go and see what he does. Amazon is absolute torture. Still a cup a year.
Cup, yeah.
There's my boy, Cup Year himself. $69.99 right on cue. Lose home ice, that's fine. William Farrell, we will be disappointed that much more. Give me a fucking Cup Year.
Cup, yeah.
Thank you very much. Iron Duke, $9. I got the 9. Somebody else bring the 60. And then, wow, the Silver Merlin. $139.99 donation to the Ben Stelter Foundation. Thank you. I love you. I appreciate you. Just skip the scoring summary for fuck's sakes. Now, as for $69.99, you give me double that times 2. No, we're not even going to touch the Greta scoring summary in any fashion whatsoever. And Dan,
do we have to talk about anything tonight? We just take the rest of the night off?
Yeah, let's talk about, as Brett will tell you later, was more into the WNBA draft than I was this hockey game at points.
Yeah, Brett, who went first overall? Let us know.
Yeah, everybody in the chat, Paige Beckers. Come on now, Paige Beckers, keep up to date. But Dan, pretty simple breakdown of this one tonight. That game sucked. The Oilers got pumped. Already down a forward to start that game. You lose a defenseman in Darnell Nurse. Now that's by his own doing. This game turned into a ref show. It was one in the first period, continued along, and then it was even those Amazon commentators noticed and went, what are we're just swallowing the whistles all of a sudden in the third period? And I mean, hey, we all just wanted to rip the Band-Aid off of that one. And once again, million minor penalties. Dan, that's all she wrote. I'm happy that one's over with. Only one more game to the NHL playoffs. But Dan, instant vibe check. Like Psycho's kind of said there in the chat, big picture, who cares? It's just one game. But the home ice dream, it's dead. It's DOA. It's over. They're going to have to beat the LA Kings on the road.
Yeah, you know, I always kind of wax poetic about this city and really do feel like Edmontonians and Edmonton Oilers fans recognize effort and a good attempt at coming out and playing the game there. You know, we can talk about how it was an AHL lineup. They still are a good squad that we put out there, and they got just kind of trounced tonight. It was just it's one of those ones that you just kind of throw it out at the end of the day. But you can't help but being a little bit disappointed in seeing them just not really have much of anything to show. The LA Kings were able to take it to them at every facet of the game. The power play was one of the more hapless parts of the game for them, you know, in a game when there was a parade to the penalty box for both sides, as well as the Oilers with their self-inflicted penalties. But yeah, just a frustrating thing. And yeah, admittedly, the first time that I've watched an Amazon broadcast this season in its entirety, and I've heard a lot of positive about it. I didn't really feel like it was game-changing, other than maybe the score bug is kind of cool.
The score bug's kind of cool. I don't know if it's just me and my eyeballs, but I think the ice is just brighter when it's on Amazon Prime. I've seen it on all these games. Commentators, let's just put it nicely, they are not Jack and Louis DeBrusque, and I will leave it at that. We'll wait till I'm going to get to a little side of Brett's beef on the Amazon Prime broadcast as well, and it's probably just me, but my picture quality would it would never need to buffer. It would just get choppy and like shitty quality, and then it goes back to good. And once again, that might just be a me internet thing. Either way, not the biggest Amazon Prime fan. Only one game left to go in the regular season. Should be done with Amazon Prime games now. But Dan, the reason you're saying there's just throw this one out, right, is because the Edmonton Oilers did not have the playoff roster out there tonight. But let me tell you, that didn't stop it from having playoff energy out there this evening. From the get-go, the two teams were going at it. It was very, very physical to start the game. Everybody was finishing their checks and getting a little bit involved, and it all gets kicked off. The parade the box, the everything. Philip Deneau's on the bench trying to get involved on the ice, trying to yank Corey Perry's stick out of his hand. He gets called. Connor Brown, at one point, he's out on the ice a little hot-headed, looking for some vengeance. Darnell Nurse, Janmark were both beating up Warren Fogle, their old friend, their old teammate at one point. Then things evolved even more so. We saw Darnell Nurse take, there's no other way to put it, a cheap shot. You could argue two cheap shots to the back of Quinn Byfield's head. I would just say one. The second one, when he's already down on the ice, obviously, they review it. Darnell Nurse gets thrown out of the hockey game for 5 minutes. Lots of discussion on the suspension. We could wait for that, for the good, the bad, and the oily. But this game had scrums after every whistle, a lot of animosity out there, a lot of bad blood. It just had that playoff energy, right? This was Game 1 of round 1. No, just kidding, because the Oilers didn't have McDavid or Draisaitl. But the Oilers lineup, incredibly depleted coming into this one. They're undermanned. You could tell they were frustrated as the game went along. Now, Wes McCauley turned that into a complete ref show. As Brett will tell you, no one's there to see you, zebras and stripes. But I do want to give the Oilers credit. I mean, they got whomped in this hockey game, but they never really backed down, right? They were never going to back down. They needed to set a tone, I will say, for Game 1 of the NHL playoffs, not let this team walk all over you. And if you're going to get blown out, at least go down swinging. I thought at points, I really, really enjoyed the Edmonton Oilers push back in this one. But Dan, thoughts on the Oilers' non-playoff roster? But that felt like a playoff game with all the animosity.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was probably Max Jones's best game or most noticeable game I've seen out of him since he's joined this team. And I think that it's something that I've been on this show a few times and been demanding and asking for some team toughness. And you definitely saw it throughout the lineup tonight. Not a lot of scrums that ended where you felt like LA was the getting the better of the Oilers in those moments. And yeah, it's one of those things when it comes to the refereeing that I really just feel like when you've got rivals like LA and Edmonton together and you call the game as tight as you did in the first period, giving 8 penalties out, it's a recipe for losing the plot. And that's exactly what happened in the second period. And then, as you mentioned, it's as if they then just decided to call an entirely new game in the third period. And fans once again are left wondering, are we meeting quotas here, or are we trying to referee a game and let these guys play the National Hockey League game, which includes a lot of physicality and a lot of tit for tat kind of exchanges here and there that don't necessarily require a minor penalty every time.
I'll say in this game that the refs were consistent. They were consistently soft as baby shit, in my opinion. Once again, not why the Oilers lose 5-0, but I mean, the power plays did have an impact on this hockey game. They were not afraid to make calls. In my opinion, it became the ref show. The crowd was fucking giving it to the Stripes at one point. I loved every bit of it. The Oilers were called for 3 minor penalties in the first 10 minutes, 4 minors in the first period in total, giving LA chance to capitalize. They do more so, but LA kind of did the same thing for the Oilers. They had 4 minor penalties of their own in the first period in total. Edmonton finishes with 53 PIMs on the evening. The LA Kings, 16 of them. Quick math, 69 PIMs on the evening. That's why we wanted that for the super chat. But refs, I will say, from the get-go, were very we're calling this one tight. I disagreed with it because these two teams are about to play in Game 1 of the NHL playoffs. So many of those are not going to be called when the calendar turns and it hits the postseason there. And I just thought it was soft. They were going to take the third man in. They were going to call the last slash. We saw Corey Perry get a misconduct as well. The Darnell Nurse one deserved everything that it got, in my opinion. You can't be doing that. That is the definition of a dirty, cheap shot. Frustrations boiled over at points. As I said, power plays had a big effect in the game. And you know what? I see him waiting in the wing. Why don't we bring him in right now for Brett's beef? I got my producer, Brett Holden, here because, Dan, as you know, the group chat between us three was pretty fired up during this hockey game, my boy Brett. The floor is yours, Dan. This is where we just sit back.
Aaron, I don't understand why you're putting words in my mouth. I came here specifically to watch Wes McCauley tonight. And thank God we got the star. I got the star that I wanted to watch. Wes McCauley, I got to watch you so many times, just as all those 18,000 Edmonton Oilers and LA Kings fans came to do the exact same thing. Aaron, like you said, these two teams, I don't know if anybody else has heard, are about to play for the fourth time in a row in the playoffs. And you don't think there's a little bit of animosity? Of course there's going to be a little bit of animosity. Sit back, Wesley. All those people wearing your jerseys in the crowd, as much as they couldn't wait to see you get on the microphone, didn't want to see you as much as they did tonight. This, from the get-go, was in a horrendously officiated game. And you mentioned it. It's not why the Oilers lost at all. But this team came in short. They came in with less players than the LA Kings. So what happens? That team gets not one, not two, but 3 fucking misconducts. 3. Are you kidding me? Do you know where you're at? And there's only 56 penalty minutes for the Edmonton Oilers, or 53, and 16 for the LA Kings. Not too good at math, but that doesn't add up. The fact that there were, what'd you say, 8 penalties in the first period, Aaron? Was that what you said? Again, not great at math, but if all of those penalties were minors, which I know they weren't, that's 16 minutes of a 20-minute period where there are special teams. 4 minutes, in theory, was to be played at 5-on-5. That is utterly horrendous. This is game 81. And again, I don't know if there was a missed quota from Wes McCauley last month. I don't know if he needs to hit a certain amount before he gets some sort of bonus. Apparently he needed to, because that's exactly what we all watched tonight. But you know who lost control of this game despite trying to over-police it? The refs. That Darcy Kemper trip was not a trip. That Podkolzin cross-check in front of him was more of a penalty than the trip. And you know what happens after you created that stoppage? A scrum. The scrum in which that you then gave Vasily Podkolzin a misconduct for. What the fuck are you doing? What is this? This is not managing the game properly. This isn't trying to make sure that the game doesn't get out of hand. That was a mistake, and that is on you. And for you to stand there with your nuts out and sit there and go, yeah, that's 10 minutes, you're gone, because of something you caused, is coward shit. It was an utter joke from guys that nobody wanted to see you tonight. Nobody wanted to see you. And the fact, I saw more of Wes McCauley tonight than I saw of Quinn Hudson. And it made this game so unbearable to watch that the WNBA draft was a better watch than what this game was tonight. And that's no shade at all to what happened in the WNBA draft. What a great draft. Sedona Princeton get drafted. Paige Beckers is a stud. I can't wait to watch her. And Angel Reese and Haley Van Lith are going to be playing in the same team. Are you kidding me? That's great. I know more about the WNBA draft tonight than the game that I sat here and watched 3 hours worth. That is a joke. And I hope. And again, this is not the reason why the Edmonton Oilers lost the game. When you take a look at a 5-0 score, you can't sit there and go, well, maybe if they didn't call that slash. But this makes it unbearable to watch, and that's how you lose fans. My father watched hockey all throughout his life. He was born in 1961. He's an old dude. But he has genuinely stopped watching hockey since the late 2010s or the late 2000s, excuse me, because of how bad the officiating has become in this league. You are losing fans when this is supposed to be a stretch in time when you are building up this game. Four Nations was phenomenal. Alexander Ovechkin just broke the scoring record. Now we're going into the playoffs, which is the greatest tournament in all of sports. And you're sitting here proudly flaunting all of that out as you're officiating. It is a joke, and you should be goddamn ashamed.
Amazing.
Let's clap it up. Let's clap it up for a minute there. Let's clap it up for a minute, because that was everything I was looking for. Dan, tough act to follow. Your thoughts?
It is, and I think that one thing you really have to hone in on is just why is Wes McCauley as famous as he is, and it really just comes down to a couple of circus calls that went viral around fighting. And I find that really annoying. And I Brad, you did an amazing job. A round of applause again. The chat was just phenomenal to watch as that was going on. But yeah, it's become a bit of an absolute circus, and it's super frustrating to have one man's name on our lips tonight after the game, and it's none of the I guess it wouldn't be a 32 team or 16 and 16. Anyways, one of the guys that isn't playing in this, isn't paid to be in this hockey game, and isn't paid to be a factor is the one that we're having a huge conversation about and a huge debate about once again.
As Jeff Skinner says, Wes saw it was on Prime and wanted to be a TV star. Jeremy, Wes was a mess like that as well. Speaking of bars, Gina said, bars, Brett, pop off king, final buzzer, earmuffs, kids. It's beef time. It's Brett's beefing with Brett. Not sure what we've said on yet. I'm crying, said Bren. Wes McCauley had to make his mark on Prime. I love the Wes McCauley show, says Ren in all caps. Camrose Chris like this. I wish our management had the balls of this guy. So refreshing. Shout out Brett. Justine, I love Brett ranting. Tammy, our queen. God, I love you, Brett, because that was just fantastic. So this is about the time where I would do the Greta scoring summary brought to you by Greta Barrier. Now, I'm still going to tell you about Greta and how much I love that building, how much I love that place. And we only have one more regular season hockey game before we start partying at Greta. Once again, keep it locked on the Oilersnation socials, because we're going to have all the information you need to know, all the information you need to know of when we're going to be at Greta during this playoff run. It's an incredible time. Last year was insane. I'd argue the second best vibe besides being in Rogers Place itself or an away game. It's the best place in the entire city to watch a game. Also, we got more than enough super chats here, but we got a couple more. Kid Thunder's in with $2. I miss losing that we won't win a cup in November. What? All right. Mr. Cates 499 says penalty summary instead of scoring summary. LFG. A cup, yeah. Mackay and Dry 279. New segment name. Holding my beef or beef and bread. Holding my beef is quite hilarious, but the image, that's the image is what makes that hilarious, I guess, is the image in my head. But we'll have to run that one past the sponsors first before we attach something to that. Copy, yeah, is in with $6.99. Hell yeah, pop off bread, give it your all. And then, yeah, shout out bread as well. So scoring summary, the Oilers lost 5-0. Nothing that I want to relive, nothing that I want to show you. So now we're just going to do the good, bad, and the oily, brought to you by Oodle Noodle. Come on, people. It was just their 20th birthday, and they are currently still offering the Platinum Pairing deal. Here you see it on your screen. Big flavor, big value, huge value. $20 for 2 signature boxes and 2 spring rolls. This deal valid until April 20th. 420, you say, hey, boards? You're damn right. So you could get your munch on courtesy of our friends from Oodle Noodle on that glorious holiday. We see some goods in the chat already being thrown in. What we went with in this hockey game, hit it for me, Bert, was fighting back. Now, this was more of a me choice on this one, but the Oilers were getting pumped from the get-go. They struggled to create offense. We did pre-gaming for an hour. We looked at that lineup. We saw the 11 forwards. We knew the Oilers were going to be in tough, especially the LA Kings being such studs defensively. Darcy Kemper, again, had another fantastic hockey game. But I like that the Oilers never said die, that they continued to fight back in the game and show some pride, show some pushback, which, Dan, you pointed out is something we've bitched about all year. And right before the NHL playoffs, against your round one opponent, you're being blown out 3-0, 4-0. Yeah, you better go out there and try and stir some shit up. Now, might I also argue that fighting back is kind of what dug them into a hole for some of these power plays and penalties against, but whatever. I'd still rather have them fight back, show some pride, set a tone for the NHL playoffs. You don't want to get pushed around now. We're going to talk about Darnell in one of these next two segments here, but do I agree with what Darnell Nurse did? Absolutely not. That's a dirty play. He got exactly what he deserved. 5 minutes out of the game. Even if he got fined, has to open up his wallet. I totally agree with that. Do I also understand trying to get in a cheap shot when your team is down against the team you're about to play? Not totally within the lines of what you'd like to see. Maybe hit him in the back and I'd feel a little bit better about it. Not the head or the neck. But Dan, save that Darnell discussion for one of the next two. But overall thoughts on fighting back from the Oilers. Josh Brown, I mean, say what you want about the guy. He's not the most skilled defenseman out there, but he was a bull in a china shop. He was fighting back all game long.
100%. I think you can go down the list. There's Vasily Podkolzin, there's Max Jones, there's Josh Brown. Even liked seeing some out of Kasperi Kapanen tonight in some of those scrums. It's just, it's a team setting the tone and letting the other team know that they're not going to be pushed around, even if the scoreboard isn't going their way on any given night, because we know that there are playoff games that you will lose and they will not go your way, and you're going to have to be able to respond right afterwards. And for me, the biggest kind of person that I'm going to look at as being the good is Corey Perry, and just his fire and as a guy that coming into this season, I will take my lumps on being a person that thought it was pretty silly to give him a contract at this point in his career. He has been a quiet leader of this team throughout, and then a loud leader when he drags people into the literal hockey fights. But seeing him just kind of give the referees his opinion tonight, I think that helped the rest of the bench. Maybe it even spurned Darnell into that anger mode. But yeah, just being able to see this team kind of fight back and say enough is enough. Line is in the sand. We are not going to be pushed around 5-0 in the playoffs.
And Corey Perry has been that dude all season long, standing up and being vocal. Even said, hey, we had a meeting in the room before one point this season where he had to let the boys know. And speaking of Corey Perry, because he has a quote here, once again, there was during the second intermission, I believe, Philip Deneau on the LA Kings broadcast said, paraphrasing, but the Oilers had their B team out there and were just running around trying to hurt the LA Kings. Corey Perry had a response to that. He said, courtesy of our friend Jason Greger, quote, "What the fuck? Excuse my language, but what do you want us to do? Did he not see what has happened over the last couple of weeks? We're not out there to hurt anybody. Let's move on." He also had his usual Edmonton Oilers post-game interview. You can see it, but the quote is, "Be ready for game one. We know who we're playing, and away we go." The man is a true professional through and through. And I like seeing it from Corey Perry always. We know you're going to get it from him, but seeing it from other guys, once again, specifically Josh Brown. I mean, we have to play Josh Brown in the NHL playoffs. That is bad news. That's not good. But at least I know that he can play that style of game and be that bull in a china shop and be like, go sick him, Josh Brown, because that's really where I was in the second, third period, being like, hey, dude, that's why you're up here with the big club right now. With good comes bad. And for this one, we went with losing home ice. Pretty obvious here for the bad. Once again, the dream, while possible, never really thought it would be that certain. The LA Kings would have to lose their final 3 remaining games. The Oilers win all 3. Well, dream's over. That means Wednesday night. If I'm Chris Knobloch, if I'm the Edmonton Oilers brass, nobody of importance is making that flight over to San Jose, because who knows? As we learned today from Hudson, apparently just the flights into Edmonton and around are also hazards themselves, because that's a crazy situation, scary situation that I guess they ran into a couple of birds in the engine, I believe, today. Yeah, Dan, it was insane on his flight to Edmonton. And then they had to, I don't know about emergency land, but very scarily land, I will say. Either way, the point is the bad losing home ice. Fourth year in a row that the LA Kings will play the Edmonton Oilers in round one. But the first year that the Kings will have home ice advantage. And it comes at a time when the LA Kings are the best home team in the NHL, 31-5-4 record at crypto.com arena. And they're sub 500 when they're on the road, 15-19-5. All you ever ask for, Dan, is a ticket to the dance. Nice line from Liam earlier today. He goes, well, you don't need to play game 7 in LA if you just beat them in game 6 in Edmonton. I went, hell yeah, brother. Let's go. That you're totally accurate with that one. Let's ride. The bad, though, losing home ice. Oilers are going to have to beat the LA Kings at crypto.com arena, a place where, as I said, 31-5-4 on the season.
Yeah, I'm kind of conflicted. I mean, I know that you wanted to go. If you flash back to even 5 or 6 games ago, I still felt like we were pushing for a division championship here. Obviously hasn't gone our way, and Vegas has kind of run away with that. But yeah, I mean, I think that if you tie in and you think about this team's playoff record in the first game of series, and specifically the first game of the playoffs, seems to be the Oilers' kryptonite. I'm not as upset at losing that game in LA and kind of having it be a throwaway, but I'm not hoping or not planning for it to be that way. I just, it's we went into it. I was in the pre-gaming show. I was yelled at in the chat. It's fine. That's fine to be yelled at for making a prediction that we were going to lose in overtime. But I think that this was just kind of one of those losses that the Oilers were just okay with, recognizing that LA probably wasn't going to lose to both Seattle and Calgary.
I think when Chris Knobloch decided to sit one Connor McDavid for this hockey game, that was a pretty big indication that, and they've been very clear about it, very vocal. Forgive me for not believing Chris Knobloch. He's been a little word gymnastics this season with some of his choices, but this to me just said, yeah, we're fine playing on the road. We will beat the LA Kings on the road because health is the priority. With good comes bad. With bad comes Oily, which could also be thought of as bad. It's the Darnell Nurse Quinton Byfield play that went down, because something tells me we're going to be talking about this one tomorrow on Oilers Nation every day. Keep it locked on socials, because the NHL might even be letting us know a little something. So tensions boiled over for Darnell Nurse in this one. He delivered a cheap shot to the back of Quinton Byfield's head. You see it here, trying to slam the puck home on Calvin Pickard. Nursey, the first one, I got no issue with. You tackle the guy, you do it in the blue paint. This is basically a playoff game. It's that second shot right there where he cross-checks him into the back of the head, back of the neck kind of area here. Does not look nice. You're not supposed to do that. And once again, after, Dan, I know it's something you want to touch on. We've seen head injuries to Darnell Nurse this season, so he knows how it feels to be taking a shot like that. Darnell, play gets reviewed, immediately gets thrown out of the game. 5-minute major, gets his misconduct. You got to wonder if there's going to be any discipline coming down from the NHL. For sure, fine. I would imagine Darnell's opening up his wallet. The real question is, will there be a suspension? Now, in my humble opinion, which doesn't totally matter, I think that there was enough discipline in this. And at this point in the game, he gets the 5-minute major. He gets thrown out. I think that's kind of all she wrote. I would expect a fine coming down. Once again, $9.25 million Darnell Nurse. I'm sure he can afford that as well. But I also wouldn't be surprised if there was a 1-game suspension handed down. The Oilers now completely locked into the 3 seed in the Pacific Division. It's a road game on Wednesday to San Jose, 8:30 puck drop. Be sure to tune in for pregame and postgame for that one. But I don't know, Dan, I'm curious what you think. A, the play as a whole, and kind of the Darnell Nurse, history of what happened to him this season in receiving a cheap shot? And then B, do you think he will be suspended? What do you think the discipline will be handed down from the NHL, Daniel?
Well, hey, I think that it's important, especially in these times that we are living in, for us to be able to be critical of our own, more than even to be critical of others. And I think in this specific situation, Darnell Nurse missed the plot. I actually disagree and think that even that first cross check is probably worse. He's lucky that it didn't connect with the head there, but then to have him then have a moment of clarity and be able to be on top of Byfield and have another cross check towards the head, not a good look. And as you mentioned, Darnell Nurse earlier this season feels like and felt like his head was targeted by one Ryan Reeves, and he had a quote at the time, and I've brought it up here just because I knew that we were going to have this conversation. But there's also an onus on the person that's throwing the hit to hit the body. It's one thing if my head is between my knees, but I was in a skating posture. Reeves is elevated at that point to hit someone in the head. And I really do think that when you look at that first cross check again, you just see that Darnell Nurse is coming in with red in his eyes. And I don't blame him. He's frustrated at seeing the LA Kings and what's been going on throughout that entire period. But he comes in and tries to cross check the guy in the head. Not okay. I fully expect and would be understanding to see the players' safety as the way that they are governing the hockey right now, would be giving him a 1-game suspension, if not a maximum fine by the end of day tomorrow.
I think it's for sure a maximum fine from the NHL. Once again, we all know how much money Darnell Nurse makes. Some people in here, Calvin Pickard, a game at least. Tammy, I think the headshot was totally unnecessary, 100%. And like Dan, like what you mentioned there, the first quote he had, it's on the onus of where you're placing the hit. The first one, you can make that because you're right, he just doesn't make as bad of contact. The second one, the onus is completely, Quentin Byfield is literally face down, laying down on the ice. He is literally no threat to anyone whatsoever. And Darnell takes a second, thinks about it, processes it, and says, fuck it, and does it anyways. And that's quite clearly exactly what they're trying to take out of the game in the NHL right now. So it'll be interesting. Tune in to Oilers Nation every day. Tomorrow we'll get some discussion about that and maybe some news as well. But good point from Silver Merlin here. I can make the argument that headshot was fully necessary with a laughing emoji as well. We'll leave it right there at that. Actually, Bert, I'd be very curious. Can you make a poll on the back end in the YouTube and ask, what do we think will be the supplemental discipline for Darnell Nurse? Let's put just a fine, 1 game, 2 game. Because once again, 2 games would bleed into the NHL playoffs. I cannot imagine that happening. But let's give 3 options. Let's see what the people think. And Dan, we will revisit that a little bit later on. Let's go now. Boom and Dooms, brought to you by Odd Company, Nation Beer, Everyday Lager. Perfect for game day, perfect for every day of the week. Pick them up. 2 Odd Company locations in the Edmonton area, downtown or Ritchie, or simply check liquorconnect.com. Find out which local liquor stores are supplying these bad boys. Look at these beautiful orange cans. Stock up before the NHL playoffs. As Ty said today, buy an entire flat because these games are stressful. This will take off the edge a little bit as well. And as I always mention, they are just absolutely delicious beers. They go down like nothing. Also, seems like everybody in the chat really appreciates a good poll. Tammy, a good poll makes me happy. Poll. We all love polls. Well, pause. Damn it. Dan, you gotta boom for me here. I'll let you kick it off.
I will, for sure. Yeah, my boom tonight has been a guy that I have not been very impressed with up until now. And tonight, I think it was his best game, is Max Jones. He was physical. He was engaged in the play. He was noticeable, which I think is what I've been looking for all along. I like the idea or the mention there of Houston in the comments. But what about you, Bordzy? I gave Max Jones my boom.
I'm just laughing that Brett put the direct quote of what I just said in the chat.
Yeah, we all heard it. Phrasing.
Hey, we all heard it. We just got to roll with it. That's the world we live in now, and there we go.
Chat baited you into it, and you got
Gina
into the
heard it as well.
poll.
Yeah, no, Gina heard it as well. For me, it's tough, right? The booms are few and far between in this game. You don't score a goal. You really could go either Calvin Pickard, who I also don't think really deserved the boom. For me, as crazy as this is about to sound, I'm giving the boom to Josh Brown because I thought that he literally brought the boom in this hockey game. Dude gets called up from the AHL. He knows his role. He's not there to play with the puck on his stick. That's for sure. He's out there to play physical, to bring the boom, if you will. Forgive my pun. And dude, he was just laying the body literally everywhere. There was one. He laid out Alex Turcotte right along the boards. He finished the game with 5 hits. He had 4 blocks. I also joked around, a couple of my buddies saying, hey, he can earn that 3rd year on his contract with 1 well-timed hit in this hockey game. He was on the ice for 2 goals against as well, which is kind of what you would expect when you have Josh Brown out there. At least he provided some of that playoff toughness, I will say. And then, I mean, he played 13:32, so that's more than a season average of 11-something minutes. So Josh Brown, there it is. Any other booms in the chat? Just Bordzy and Pulse. That's all I'm seeing in here now. Ren, boom, every AHL player. Yeah, nope, just polls. Just polls. The moment you say it, the moment you lose the chat. Daniel, let's kick it off. Give me a doom here now as well. Could be from the LA Kings, could be the Oilers, could be anything. Give me a doom.
I got the perfect one for you. The doom is going to go to you for having to do the next game, because it's going to be an absolute gong show. If we can get the ECHL Wichita Thunder up for the game, maybe, just maybe, you might have some fun storylines to talk about.
Yeah, that's very true. Once again, be sure to tune in to pregame After Dark on Wednesday as well. Still got shows to do, still contractually obligated to do every single one of them. So we're going to, because we love our sponsors, and I love all you guys in the chat. Something tells me game 82 on Wednesday is going to be zero hockey talk.
Polls all the time. Just polls after poll after poll.
Nope, I can't. Bordzy, don't do what you're about to do. Take willpower. Don't make more jokes. Okay, there we go. For me and my doom, what I'm going to do in this game, I'm going to just say Amazon Prime, because I don't know. I'm so done with it. I really like what they've done. And there's booms inside of this doom, because I will say one thing about Amazon Prime. Their hot mics are quite incredible. They pick up quite a bit on the ice that you can hear conversations pretty clearly out there on the ice. Once again, I don't want to bitch about Amazon Prime. Enough people are doing that online, left, right, and center. I mean, you do pay for it, so I guess you do have the right to bitch and complain about it if you want. I said just for mine, but I think it was just a me thing, an internet thing, but my internet's fine right now, right? I do these shows all the time. My quality was so bad. It was so pixelated at points. It was pretty bad. I mean, people just saying, man, I lost this chat with the polls. If you just look at other things, just do a poll about polls. Actually, let's bring it back to the poll talk. What will nurses' discipline be? It's a vote right here, right now. Justifying has 33% of the vote. 1 game, 44%. 2 games, 24%. So currently 1 game in the lead, which I could see. Okay, Sadistic says pixels were horrendous as well. I don't know if that's just me, but maybe it's just us, Sadistic. Either way, that'll do it for your booms and your dooms. Brought to you by Odd Company Nation Beer Everyday Lager. People just want polls. That's all they're saying in the chat. Let's do Bordzy's Bankroll in the meantime. Brought to you by Bet365, because we've got breaking news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win is a barn burner. Every face-off, hat-trick, power play, shot on goal, penalty shot, and every suspenseful minute in between is amazing. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. They're an official partner of the NHL. Download their app today. Use the code NATION to get in on the game. Must be 19 or older. Please play responsibly. Hit it for me here, Brett. So we did better. We did 1 for 3 on the last one. The craziest part here is that the Nuge 1 point actually had the lowest odds. It was minus 170. I didn't do anything with pluses because this was played together at plus 450. Felt pretty reasonable for me, even in a game where the LA Kings I thought would dominate. That was why I had Calvin Pickard to get over 23.5 saves. After the start in the first period, I was worried he was going to get yanked. But no, Stuart Skinner played yesterday. That would be a ridiculous move to pull. So that one cashes. Brett, give me the sound.
Cha-ching.
There it is. There we got double. There we go. Evan Bouchard also hit with over 2.5 shots on goal. Give me the sound. And then don't give me the sound for the next one. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins did not get 1+ point. Someone told me that he was going to do that regardless. People in here, Bordzy's meatloaf bankroll tonight. Calvin Pickard did say, I told y'all to bet on me. Yep, exactly. Gina says, can't ignore the big red X, though. I'm trying. And hopefully on Wednesday, we can go 3 for 3 to kick us off going well into the NHL playoffs as well. One thing that will be a large storyline, I think, for Brett and myself in game 82 of the season is the tattoo bet. Little update here quickly. It's brought to you by Wilhock Beef Jerky because only the finest tasting meat products earn that sweet Wilhock name, made from 100% Alberta beef. Their jerky is aged, seasoned, smoked, and marinated to savory perfection. They gladly fill orders of any size. You can find their jerky, sausage, and other products exclusively out of their Leduc location. For more information, head to WilhockBeefJerky.com. Also, yeah, chat's getting weird. Whatever Jeremy just said about Justine, we're getting weird in here for game 81 of the season. But Bert, if you also want to bring yourself on for this, I'd love to have you and give me a little updated scoreboard for the tattoo bet, because a little ground was made up by Ty Emerson. So this is possible in game 82 of the season. Brett Kulak has 1 block in this game tonight, while Ty Emerson has 2 of them. We're going down to game 82. I get worried that the Oilers are going to sit players heading into this one. Who knows who it could be now? Really on the back end. I don't know if they can afford to really sit anybody. Brett Kulak has an incredible Iron Man streak going on right now, so I can't imagine him getting taken out. But once again, who knows? I would think both Kulak and Envy are going to be playing in game 82, Brett. And this one coming down to the wire, everything we thought it would be. But Brett, you had beef earlier with the refs. You also have beef with the scorekeepers as well?
I did for a very long time, which I think they corrected it.
Right? Okay.
But if not, this will be the second bullshit call that we have in this, because there was one earlier in the year where I actively watched Brett Kulak break up a pass, and then they're like, oh yeah, that's a block shot. That's perfect, which is now counted towards your count. But in that first period, there was a block shot that happened for Ty Emerson that they didn't count for a very long time, which makes me very suspicious that they did not actually count that one, which would pull me up the poll up to 3 blocked shots.
He said pull. He said the word of the day. He said pull.
He said it. He said it. But this is, again, 4 block shots. He has to an aggregate of 4 block shots in this last game. This would be Rory level of blowing it if Kulak wasn't able to do this, because this is like basically on lock for you right now. Like, this is L word type of stuff, and this is me trying to jinx it, all of it right now. I'm trying to get it all out right now, but he's within 4, not 5. I think he should be within 3, and if you didn't count the blocked pass, it should be within 2. My Jake Wallman block shots thing is now out of the question. So it's my skin, or it's just my skin. I'm going to be involved in this either way.
Yeah. And this is exactly what we wanted. Game 82, not a lot to watch for. If the Oilers take any amount of penalties in that game Wednesday against the Sharks, because both Kulak and Emby are on the PK, I'm going to be sweating. I'm going to be nervous. Also, everybody in here, Bosch now says, pull yeah.
Pull yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Poll, yeah. Poll show. Poll, yeah. Poll talk as well. Bert, thank you very much. I appreciate you. Let's take it down to the wire now. It's late as shit. Bert, you might just have to join me on Wednesday for us to present our tattoo ideas because we could do it now, but it's almost midnight. I'm tired. The chat has completely lost the plot as well. Things are getting crazy in here once again. The actual poll, there I now said it, is at one game, 45% for Darnell Nurse. Couple other things of note for some housekeeping before we head out. I have done all the super chats, but I do want to give you a reminder about nationgear.ca. We got some new merchandise over there. Get geared up, get pulled up, get oiled up for the playoff run. Edmonton Hockey Oil Up. Hope will never die. We got white t-shirts, dark t-shirts. They got hats, snapbacks, and dad hats. So we got a nice selection as well. Once again, get yourself a pre-gaming with Bordzy t-shirt if you'd like one of those as well. All kinds of awesome merchandise. Get geared up, get oiled up. Get oiled up on the pole, as the Iron Duke just points out as well. There is that, and a reminder, we're going to have some very fun playoff coverage coming your way for what we hope is a very, very long playoff run for the Edmonton Oilers. We're going to have a different look on Oilers Nation every day. This show might even have a couple extra changes to them. Pre-gaming as well. Not allowed to mention them yet. But they are some pretty awesome, significant changes that'll be coming down. Dan, I know that you know what those changes are and what they're going to be. It's pretty dope, pretty excited. I don't usually keep secrets very well, but I have done a very good job. And we'll be able to tell you guys on game 1 of the NHL playoffs. So I'm very, very excited for that. Daniel, any final message to the people? This will definitely be your last Oilers Nation After Dark of the regular season. I'm still going to have you on during the playoffs. You'll be at Greta partying the entire time, and just my revolving door of cast, Dan. But you've been awesome all season long. Any final message to the fine folks in the chat? Please not poll related.
I want to thank you and Brett for including me in this fun community that you guys have proudly been able to amass here. I know that the chat has kind of descended into poll land, but I will vault a little bit of Canadian poll information into the chat as I can as well. Just to mention and a reminder that the advanced polls in Canada are open on Friday, April the 18th to 21st, and then the actual official polls will be on Election Day on April the 28th. Canadians, just make sure you get out, inform yourself on what your vote should be for yourself, and then make sure you do that because we need to make sure our voices are heard. So there's a little poll chat to finish off the chat tonight.
That was the smoothest poll transition segue, whatever that was fantastic, Dan. Attaboy, that's the way you end it. As Dan said, go out and vote. Exercise your democratic right to get that done. I love you all in the chat. Reminder, shout out to all of our sponsors, Greta Baryeg, who didn't get the scoring summary because you guys are the best. I can see the total here, $261.69 cents have been raised this evening. The Oilers lose 5-0 when we raise $260. You guys are the best in the chat. We get off topic, off track all the time with whatever the latest dick joke is that we can make. That's also how we handle 5-0 losses at the hands of the LA Kings and losing your home ice dream. That's why I love you guys. You're the best. Throw down your courtesy like on the way out. Producer Brett, I love you. Dan, you're the best. Elbows out as well. And as I said, shout out to all of our sponsors. Sleep tight, everybody. Oilers Nation every day coming at you live, 12:01 Mountain Standard Time tomorrow. And then Wednesday, the final regular season game this year, the final regular season version of pre-gaming and After Dark. I'll see you tomorrow, O&E, and I'll see you Wednesday as well. Over and out. Good night.